Hi there, I'm your playwright-in-residence, Andy Black, and welcome to The Play's the Thing. I'm a playwright myself, and I teach playwriting. I'm working on my PhD in Theater and Performance Studies at the University of Missouri in Columbia, Missouri, and I'm here to introduce a series of teaching videos on topics related to playwriting. The topics are designed to stimulate and educate playwrights on concepts related to the development of a good play. This introductory module will set the stage, so to speak, for what's to follow. In today's discussion, I'm going to address a quasi-philosophical question. Why would anybody want to write a play in the first place? If you're a committed playwright already and have experienced the thrill of seeing your work produced, you might be able to skip over this video and go to another one later in the series. But if you're a beginner or even a pre-beginner, the writer who was saying, maybe I should explore this playwriting thing, this video might help you decide to give playwriting a try, or at least confirm the path you're already on. For the purpose of this series of videos, I will define play as a text-based story written to be performed by actors in real time in front of an audience. Plays have been around a long time. It's estimated that the first plays we know about were performed in Athens at the beginning of the 5th century. Classical theater history suggests that the first known play was called The Persians and was written by Aeschylus. But plays as an art form developed independently in cultures all around the world, not just in Greece. So why would an art form that's over 2,500 years old be relevant today? On my way to providing an answer to that question, I'm going to deal with a more general question first. If a play is a story, why do people tell stories at all? One of my favorite books on the subject of story was written by Thomas Newkirk. In Minds Made for Stories, Newkirk explains that storytelling is what he calls an innate capacity. Newkirk says that the ability to tell stories is hardwired within us, the product of evolutionary development. Among other things, we learn to tell stories as a way of seeing ourselves as active agents in our own lives. They help us understand cause and effect relationships, and they allow us to share important information with others in an effective way. We've been telling stories in pretty much the same way since we began to speak, which would take us back 2 million years. We've been telling stories, in fact, much longer than we've been writing them down. Other research suggests the reasons we tell stories. In his book, A Theory of Discourse, James Knievy says that we use this innate storytelling capacity for one of 4 reasons. We want to describe something, we want to convince someone of something, we want to figure something out for ourselves, or we want to create an object of art. Knievy calls this last area literary discourse, which is the domain of playmaking. Most people who want to write a play are doing so to create a work of art, although many of them write plays for the other reasons as well. But then, once you've decided you want to tell a story for any reason, why write a play? Which brings us back to the question, why would an art form that's over 2,500 years old be relevant today? In the 21st century, why not write a screenplay or a novel, for instance, or put your story online? This question brings us then to some practical considerations. First, I will say that in recent years, the book publishing industry has gone through a lot of turmoil as the industry has shifted from paper-based products to media objects. According to an article by Stephen Persante, president of Barrett Kohler Publishers, while the number of books being published in the United States has exploded, average book sales are shockingly small and falling fast. It's getting harder and harder every year to sell books. Self-publishing is an option, of course, but it requires authors to make financial and energetic investments of their own, which is not something many authors want to do. Writers are very interested in screenplays, as I myself was at one time. However, making even a short film is quite expensive. Early in my career, I wrote a script for a 5-minute movie, and I estimated that the budget for such a movie could easily be $30,000. In addition, getting a screenplay, even a very good one, in front of a producer can be challenging. And there are screenwriters who have been carrying unproduced screenplays around in the trunks of their cars for many years. In comparison, a well-written play can be produced fairly easily. I have had several of my plays produced in a variety of locations, and I'm happy to say that none of them required anyone to invest $30,000 to make those plays happen. All that's required to get a play produced is a space, even a church basement, some willing actors, and an audience. Now, I make this statement as if it were a simple matter to do these things. It's not, of course. But what I have found is that theater usually happens in community. It's fairly easy to find a community of theater folks who can help a writer with some of these logistics. Beyond these practical considerations, there are what I will call psychological benefits to writing a play. When we use our imagination, we frequently see the images or characters in our mind acting out the various parts and bringing the imaginary scenarios to life. I speak from experience when I say getting to see those imaginary images come to life on a stage is a peak experience. Further, you get to hear the reactions of friends, family, and even strangers. When they laugh at the funny parts and cry at the sad parts, it's a truly meaningful experience. It's a wonderful community-building experience, one well worth having. The thrill is hard to put into words. Unfortunately, authors of books don't get to experience the same charge. Even digital storytellers who put their content online rarely get the same immediate feedback from seeing their work performed in front of a live audience. It makes you understand why so many cultures started acting out stories for audiences so many years ago. So, I hope I've sold you on the value of playwriting as a viable artistic vehicle for telling your story. If so, I've done my job. Maybe I've only increased your commitment to a path you were already on. That's fine too. Let's assume then that you've decided you want to write a play. Where might you get your idea? You may already have one, or you may be looking around. In the next video, I'll provide you with a list of places that playwrights typically get ideas. I'll explore one of those places in detail, looking at some of the pros and cons of using that source for your idea. In the meantime, let me give you a prompt. Get a notebook like this and write down 2 or 3 ideas you have floating around in your head. When I see you again, I'll share with you the 5 places I've discovered that people typically get ideas for plays, and we'll see if you used any of those sources to come up with your idea. That's all for today. If you want to follow me on social media, please do. I can be found on Facebook at Andrew Black Playwright. My Twitter handle is @AndyPlaywright, and my website is www.andrewblackplaywright.com. I've enjoyed sharing my ideas with you today, and I hope you've enjoyed hearing them. I look forward to the next time, and until then, stay creative.